All right. Hope everybody that went to Arkansas made it back safely, or obviously you did, but hope you had a good trip back. Excited about this week. Big week for us. Home SEC opener against a great opponent, and really good practice this morning. Need to continue to get better as the week goes as well. Just real quick, injury-wise, as you guys know, I know we released a statement yesterday. Super disappointed and super hurt for Mo Kaba and Jordan Strawn. And the end of their seasons, two guys that have really worked hard and we're having fantastic starts to this season. Jordan was a captain for us game one. Mo was a captain for us game two. So we got to replace their leadership. Both those guys were fantastic special teams players as well. Mo was dynamic on kickoff coverage, dynamic on the punt team. Same thing with Jordan on the punt team. So that's a big loss from a special team standpoint as well. But really just, hate it for those two kids. And obviously they're really, really down. But we're here for them and going to continue to lift them up and help them, along with Chad Terrell, who went through the same thing a few weeks ago. Also, they're still a key part of this team. And like I said in that statement, they are their best football is still in front of them without a doubt. More injuries on top of them. Just an update. Real simple. I think David Spalding, Cam Smith, Corey Rucker, R.J. Roderick, and Boogie Huntley are all questionable this week. So can't say for sure that they're all going to play, and can't say for sure that they're not as we sit here today. So we'll see how practice goes the rest of the week, and hopefully we'll have those guys on Saturday. But if not, we've our depth isn't where it needs to be for sure. But we got really good players on this football team, and we're going to take a bunch of really good guys out there on Saturday to play against a really, really, really good Georgia team and a really, really, really well-coached Georgia team as well. Just so impressed watching the video, offense, defense, and special teams. Super talented, but super well-coached as well. So be a big challenge for us, but our guys are excited. Hope our fans are as well. I know there was a lot of people that wanted this to be a night game. Frankly, no one cares. It's a noon game. So we set the standard for what Williams-Brice Stadium should be like against Georgia State. So we're not going to all of a sudden be less than that on Saturday at noon because we're disappointed it's not a night game. Got a great opportunity for our fan base to show the entire country on national television what Williams-Brice Stadium and a game day at South Carolina is like. And it should be, to me, even better than what it was for the Georgia State game. So if you need more time to tailgate, need more time to get ready, wake up earlier. All right, so you can start preparing at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever time the lot's open over there. But we need that place to be absolutely rocking on Saturday at 12 noon. ESPN's, I think, going to push back the start of the game a few minutes because I think they want to showcase 2001 and what our pregame atmosphere is like. So that'll be a great opportunity from a recruiting standpoint to show people as well. And the opponent, this will be the first time that Georgia has played an true away game this year as well. And we need to make it really, really difficult and uncomfortable for them when they're out there, unless somebody on Georgia's current team was here in 2018. They haven't faced a packed Williams-Brice because they were over here last in 2020 during the COVID year. So we need to make sure that's an asset for us. Arkansas was a great environment last Saturday at 11 a.m. Central, so sure as hell we can make a noon start really, really intense and awesome out there on Saturday afternoon, which is what it needs to be as well. And if you follow recruiting at all here at Carolina, you know how important this weekend is from a recruiting standpoint and the fantastic young men that we're going to have on campus. So we got to do our part as a football team, coaches and players, and we're really working hard to do that. But we need our fan base to do their part as well on Saturday. And knowing what I know about Gamecock Nation, I have no doubt that we will. So with that, take any questions. Shocking. Really?
Hey, Shane, a couple for you. Also with injuries, Rush and Joyner, how are they?
They're fine. Both practiced today. Both look good today. Rush, I guess, fell on his back a little bit. That's when he got hurt on the same play as Mo, and was fine, no issues. Practiced Sunday, as a matter of fact. And then same thing with DK. I don't know if he's been quite 100% the first 2 games, David, but he looked great out there today, and excited for him, and excited as he continues to get healthier and as this season goes on.
Also, Austin Stogner, and you had him in Oklahoma too. He laid out the last block on the first 2 touchdowns you guys have. How elite of a blocker is he as compared to other guys that you've seen at that position?
Yeah, I think he's really good. He's a tough kid, first and foremost, is what you got to be. It's something that he really worked on at Oklahoma. And the thing that I think helped him, too, was in high school, he was asked to – I remember going to watch when we were recruiting him at Oklahoma. I went and watched one of his practices in Dallas, and I remember telling some of our coaches after I watched him practice, just how physical he was. I mean, he would put his hand in the ground and block defensive ends. He's a high-effort, competitive guy. It's not always easy. People think, when you're a tight end and you're 6'6", 250, that it's easy, but a lot of times it's not, because you've got to get leverage on defensive ends and that are moving and things like that. But he's competitive, he's tough, and works at it as well. It was great to see that, the long pass that he was blocking on downfield, and then the little counter play we ran to Marshawn for a touchdown when he kind of blocked the guy with his back. But it was just great effort for sure.
Shane, you talked after the game, obviously, about needing to run the ball a little bit better. Schematically and personnel-wise, what can you guys as coaches do to try to get some more consistency out of that run game?
I would say a few things. One, I think we also need to look at I think I said this on Sunday night, when we called runs on first and second down in the open field, we averaged close to 4 or 5 yards a pop, if I'm not mistaken. Now, those stats got skewed because we had a 3rd and 1, a 4th and 1, a 4th and whatever on the goal line, 3rd and whatever on the goal line, where you're not going to have long runs. So I feel better about our run game coming out of the game last Saturday against Arkansas, 1. 2, just continuing. Every week's different. How Arkansas lined up to play us defensively is different than what Georgia State did, and it's different than what we expect to see from Georgia this Saturday. So every week is different schematically what the teams are playing, but we need to be able to line up and run our best runs no matter what defense they're lined up in, and we're continuing to work to do that. And to me, I want to be when I interviewed for this job, I told Ray Tanner and Chance Miller, to me, we want to be able to run the ball, and when I say balanced on offense, I want to be an offense that has the ability to run it and the ability to throw it. And I'd be an idiot to sit up here and tell you that we're going to run the ball 60 times a game. We got an NFL quarterback and NFL receivers and NFL tight ends. So every week we're trying to do what gives us the best opportunity to be successful. But to me, we've got to be able to, when we want to run the football, run the ball. We got signs in this building about how we win the football games, and running the ball and stopping the run is one of them. And each week it's different how we do that. But at the end of the day, we've just got to, figure out what we do well and be able to run those no matter what defense they're in, and just be efficient with it as well, whether we run it 15 times or whether we run it 55 times, being efficient when we do run the football. And also being able to win those battles. We want to call runs. So when we call runs, as the offensive tackle, the offensive guard, the center, the running back, the receivers, the tight ends, you got to win your one-on-one battles as well. It's easy to say run the ball. Well, we gotta be great competitors and win those battles as well. Same thing on defense when it comes to stopping the run, which we didn't do last week either.
Coaches preach it constantly about focusing on yourself in a game week. You're taking on the number 1 team in the nation. It's a little bit harder to do, at least from outside noise as well. But also, you have the benefit of college football showing you that anybody can beat anybody last weekend. Are you using that? How, beneficial is it to be coming off of that week to kind of help encourage your guys and build that belief?
I'd say our guys have a lot of belief. I told our staff on Sunday, I don't want to hear one person talking about anybody can beat anybody on Sunday. I don't want to hear one person talking about shocking the world. I don't want to hear one person talking about we just got to beat them. We just got to be better than them one Saturday. We don't have to be better than them all 12. And then as soon as I walk out of my text, as soon as I walk out of the staff meeting, I got text messages on my phone from family members essentially telling me the same thing. So I'm like, Jesus, But there's great belief in our program. I don't have to rally them to make them believe. They believe. They have confidence. They should. We're a really good SEC football team, and we got really good SEC football players. That a lot of players on this team that Georgia wanted on their team. And there's players on Georgia's team that we wanted on this team as well. So to answer your question, we have belief every single week. I don't have to sit in here and convince these guys that we can win the football game. We got a bunch of competitive dudes on this football team that can't wait to go compete on Saturday.
You mentioned on Sunday night that y'all didn't tackle well enough. What was y'all's number for missed tackles? What number is acceptable? And is that something y'all had to stress this week, or is that just something that they know?
Yeah, way too many missed tackles last week, which that's disappointing because I think I said it on the teleconference. We'd been a pretty good tackling team in practice and in games as well. Really had been. And even going back to games last year, I mean, I can think of one against it was either Clemson or Auburn late. We missed one over there on their sideline at defensive back and let a explosive run pop out of there over there on their sideline late in the year. But even last year, missed tackles that really stand out, there weren't a ton. So that was surprising. Probably a better question for Clayton tomorrow. I'll let you grill him on that, as far as what he wants from a defensive standpoint. But one's way too many for me. And we emphasize it. I mean, we tackle in practice on Tuesdays and in certain periods. And there's not a lot of teams in the country, I think, that do that. And that's for the speed of the game, and that's to make sure we're in good position and whatnot. We do tackling drills on defense as well. So give Arkansas some credit. It's not easy to get those running backs and that quarterback down. But at the same time, there were some poor fundamental things in there too, where we're coming in there and ducking heads and things like that.
Hey, Coach. With Sherrod stepping into a starting role this week, what have you seen from him over the past few months, both, mentally and physically recovering from 2 years of these season-ending injuries?
Yeah.
And, has he been a resource for, Mo and for Jordan as they're kind of going through it now, too?
Yeah, and your Eagles are 1-0. Yep. I think Sherrod's been great. I mean, you go back to last year, he got hurt in this Georgia game last year, and same thing, hurt for him last season over in Athens that night early in the game when he got hurt as well. But he worked hard to come back. That's not easy to do mentally when you're coming back from multiple injuries on that knee. But he overcame a lot mentally. Proud of him because, he was working his way back. And in the meantime, Mo and Brad continued to elevate their games as well. So he probably wasn't in the role that he exactly wanted to be early in the season, but just continued to work and got better. It was good to see him. I should say good. I hated to see Mo get hurt, but it was good that now Sherrod was able to get out there and run around and play a lot of plays last Saturday, and he absolutely will be a resource for those guys. They'll help each other, and we all will. When I talked to Jordan and Mo on the phone late Sunday night after they found out the results of the test, so we told them we all got your back and we're all here to help you. But certainly those guys that have been in that position before can really help them.
Shane, you mentioned a big recruiting weekend this weekend for you guys. Just number one, how do you feel like you are in recruiting right now with the way the class stands, and how big can a performance or an atmosphere or whatever go this weekend for you in this recruiting base?
Yeah, no, I love where we are right now from a recruiting standpoint with the class of 2023 guys, and then where we are with the class of 2024 guys. Now, there's a long time till the 2023 class signs and a long time to the 2024 class signs, but I think we're in a great position with a lot of them. We've worked really, really hard at it, going back to when I first got hired on recruiting these future classes as well and laying the foundation. And as you guys know, it is a line of scrimmage league in this conference, and our recruiting class right now, I think, emphasizes that. keeping the best players in South Carolina at home has been a priority, and knock on wood, we're doing a good job of that in this year's class and next year as well. Certainly an amazing atmosphere on Saturday will help. And then obviously we need to coach well and play well. That'll really help as well. And working really hard to do that. And then give these kids that we're recruiting credit. I mean, they've really connected with each other and bonded with each other and helping recruit. They're recruiting each other right now.
Shane, I just wanted to start with, did you live in the same neighborhood as Kirby when you were there? Right? Just keeping a theme of the last couple of weeks.
Nah, Kirby was making more money than me, so he was living in Athens. We were all out in the suburbs. Me and out in Watkinsville, me and Sam. But y'all should do a story on the neighborhood that we all lived in, because I would say that pretty much every assistant coach that's probably ever coached at Georgia has lived in that one neighborhood. So I lived in there with Jim Chaney, who was our offensive coordinator, Sam Pittman, Glenn Schumann, their defensive coordinator's in there right now. Tracy Rocker was living in there. Jeremy Pruitt was living across the street from me as they were transitioning. Mike Bobo lived in that neighborhood when he was over there. Brian Schottenheimer lived in that neighborhood when he was on the staff. I don't even know who's in there right now, but there's a bunch of them for sure. But no, Kirby was in the high end part of Athens.
And just as far as Jordan and Mo, they will need surgery, right? Has that been scheduled yet? And how have the defensive guys? I mean, those injuries like that can be pretty devastating mentally for guys. How have the guys been the last couple of days? The players who are practicing, have they kind of, moved forward with this and made peace with the idea that they won't be back?
Yes, I believe the plan right now is to have surgery as of yesterday when I was talking to Clint Haggard and about the prognosis going forward. I don't think that'll be any time in the immediate future, probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks, I guess, is when those surgeries will take place. And what was the second part?
Just the guys practicing, the defensive guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd be sitting here lying to you and say that it was easy and then it's just carry on. I mean, we just lost two really critical players on our defense. And that's tough to overcome. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's the heart of your defense right there. And our guys hurt for them, but it's the next man up mentality, and we all have to be better. And the best way that those guys and we can honor and play for Mo and Jordan is to go play well this week. And, it's part of it and hate it, but we got to no one's sitting around feeling sorry for us right now. So I think those guys have rallied together. And like I said, we got some fantastic players and leaders, Zach Pickens and Brad Johnson and those guys of the world that are continuing to lead this defense in their absence as well. Rob Sale, the old offensive line coach at Georgia, lived in that neighborhood. Chris Wilson lived in the house that I lived in. Will Friend lived in the house that I eventually bought. So it's a heck of a story. Roanoke, Mike Griffith, y'all. It's the name of the neighborhood in Watkinsville, man.
Shane, keeping you on the walk down memory lane, as you look back on the time you spent under Kirby, I know there were some talented players when you guys got there, but what were some of the things you gleaned from him about building a program, instilling a culture from the ground up? Yeah,
Kirby Smart made me a better football coach. That was a really, really beneficial 2 years to be with him, and him coming, it was a great opportunity for me to, one, coach at a place like Georgia, live in a city like Athens, but to come in and see the whole Nick Saban, Alabama, the process and all that, but see it implemented from day one, where Kirby's taken over a program. I came in there at the end of December, right when he first got hired after we won our bowl game at Virginia Tech, and then to be able to see everything implemented in year one. And, that year was not easy. I mean, we lost to Vanderbilt at home. We lost to Georgia Tech at home. Struggled to beat Nicholls State early in the season at home. But then to see how just recruiting wise and continuing to build that program to where now in year 2 we went and won the Rose Bowl and played for the national championship, and seeing how he handled coaches, seeing how he handled the day-to-day stuff, the recruiting part of it, practice. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do here that are directly from things that I took from my time at Georgia. And there's things that we don't do. I mean, we do a lot of things differently as well. But when you talk about all the places that I've been as a coach and coaches that I've taken things from as far as this organization and how we try and structure stuff, a lot of it, came from my time with Kirby, and certainly really appreciative of that opportunity that he gave me and everything that I learned from him.
You mentioned, obviously, you can't run the ball 60 times in a game, but also Chill's trying to run. How do you kind of go
Didn't say we couldn't. I just said that we may not. I mean,
Right.
If we could get out there and find a way to run the ball 60 times Saturday, that would mean things are really going well for us if we could do that. But
maybe you don't want to. How do you go about trying to find that identity and maybe strike that balance, especially when you play a game against a team that their identity is already pretty established in Arkansas last week and Georgia this week?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we can sit here and say we want to run the ball. Well, I think Georgia was number 1 in the nation last year in stopping the run. Or if they weren't number 1, they were number 2 because the other team was Alabama. So it's no secret that the 2 teams that played for the national championship are the 2 best teams in the nation last year at stopping the run. And that's pretty consistent every single year. If you look at run defense, there's the best teams in the nation are going to be up there. So these guys aren't going to be easy to run the football on. We've got to really work hard as coaches to come up with a plan to be able to run the ball, because it's going to be a long day Saturday if we're not able to run the ball a little bit against these guys. That's just a fact. And so that's the challenge for us is finding that balance against a team that prides themselves on stopping the run and do a great job of it as well. But we got really good players on this offense and really good coaches, and confident that we'll put together a plan that allows us to do that as well, and then also be able to stop the run, because frankly, I mean, Georgia's watching our tape from that Arkansas game last Saturday and probably feeling really good about being able to get up and hand the ball to those big running backs that they got over in Athens right now as well, based on what we showed on tape last week against Arkansas. Welcome back.
Thanks, glad to be back.
Yeah. You coming Saturday? You got a baby shower, bachelor party, anything else you're going to, my man?
I'll be there. I
love you, right?
I got one more wedding on the schedule for next year, so hopefully it can be a bye week or something. But it's not mine. But Shane, I guess offensively, I think you guys are averaging like 20 or 30 more yards per game right now. I mean, as I know it's a small sample size, but and close to 100 yards more passing right now. I mean, just where do you feel like this group is offensively from year 1 through, I guess, 2 games now? And I guess what is it that you take now going forward to build some of that consistency, find maybe some more running holes? I know you mentioned some of it, but I guess what is maybe different about this group right now?
I would say there's a better understanding. A lot of these guys, it's year 2 in the system, so there's a better understanding that they have of what we're asking them to do. There's a better understanding of us, and then frankly, we got more depth. We've got a really experienced quarterback that continues to get more and more comfortable with what we're doing each week. We've got more experienced running backs. We've got more depth at wide receiver. When you look at what Juice did last week, when you look at what Jalen Brooks did the week before, you look at what AB has done, and then you add Josh Vann and De'Carrion Joyner and Xavier Legette to that. Then you got Jaheim Bell and Austin Stogner. I mean, we've got more weapons around the guys than what we went into the season with, last year at this time. And for us, it's just continuing to, develop depth and continue to get more and more confident, more and more comfortable with what we're doing as well. And y'all know I love Ben. That was totally a joke, right? I don't need to be on SEC Network like another coach was in this league because he got into it with a reporter last week or something. That was totally a joke. So, all right, thank you.
Good, Shane.
Yep, y'all brought the A-team in today. When I called you out on the teleconference, I didn't know you'd actually come on Tuesday. So
I wasn't going to. I wasn't sure Ben was going to be. I had to cover for him in case he wasn't here. You mentioned the changes at Georgia. Obviously, they lost 15 guys to the NFL draft. So two-part question. Georgia part is, what are some of the different things that you're seeing from Georgia, I guess schematically or just their personality-wise? And then secondly, how is Freddie Kitchens
influenced the program. That was a guy, he could have gone to Clemson, and he chose to come here instead. And how'd you get him over Dabo and Woody? I mean, those are guys that he played for and coached with.
Yeah. Schematically, all three phases, or are you talking more schematically defensively and all the guys they lost?
In terms of all three phases.
Yeah. Offensively, they bring not much because they bring so many guys back. When you look at last year's tape, offensively and then this year's tape, I mean, it's the same people other than, Zamir and a couple other guys, I guess the Burton at receiver, but it's a lot of the same people. And it's not a huge body of work because they've had 2 blowout wins. So you're guessing a little bit because they haven't had to do a whole lot, honestly, these first 2 weeks. I mean, that Oregon game Oregon turned the ball over, 2 times in the first 3 possessions and was pretty much over after that. And then the Samford game was, 30-0, I think, at halftime. So you're basing on a very small body of work. But offensively, you see them using the tight ends, obviously, with Washington and Bowers and Gilbert, and the way that they roll those 3 guys in there as well, and very multiple. And I don't think they've turned the ball over yet offensively, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's right. No turnovers or fumbles or interceptions. I may be wrong on that. If they have, they haven't done it many. So they're just doing a good job of just being efficient and protecting the football. And then defensively, kind of the same thing. Like, they're very multiple on defense. We know that. They haven't had to show a lot at this point. So, they may come out there on Saturday and it's a lot more multiple than they've been the first 2 games. First 2 games, it's been, I don't want to say simple because it's not simple when you're facing those guys, but really good players, really tough, really physical, and make it really hard to run the ball. And then when you throw it too, it's going to be competitive catches. I mean, they've got size in the secondary and they're really good. So there's not a lot of teams with wide open receivers running down the field, and if you do, they ain't going to be wide open for long because of their closing speed. And then special teams. I mean, I know the emphasis that Kirby puts on that. I was there for 2 years and saw it directly, and that shows as well when you turn on the tape and there's Brock Bowers covering punts, and there's Ladd McConkey covering punts, and there's Nolan Smith on the punt pressure team trying to block punts and return punts. I mean, they're really good and a challenge. And then Freddie's been fantastic. You'd have to ask him that question about how we got him, but Freddie's a close friend. Freddie's somebody that I've known since 2004 when we were all in Starkville together on that first coaching staff with Sylvester Kroom, and he's been good, just being able to help me and help the offensive staff, and he's a great personality, him to have in this building as well. And he's been a good resource, and even for a lot of our players too. The fact that he's been in the NFL for so long and has coached some high-profile players, being able to help our guys and just being able to pull an offensive lineman aside or pull a tight end aside or pull a receiver aside or a defensive back or whoever and just kind of talk to him about things. It's good to have another set of eyes that can help me and the other coaches with maybe things that we miss.
Hey, Coach, you talk about Oregon turning the ball over, I think, twice in the first 3 possessions. Does it almost feel like you almost have to play near flawless football against a defense like Georgia? And I guess the second part of that question, does it feel like you maybe have to throw sort of the proverbial kitchen sink at a defense like Georgia?
No, because I think to the second question first, I think if you do that, you can end up, hurting yourself a little bit too. I mean, we want to continue to condense what we do offensively and just make sure that we're sound. Okay, we however number of plays we have, we know as an offense how we're going to be able to block it and run routes against these multiple looks that we're going to get, as opposed to having too many schemes that you can't rep it all against all the stuff that you're going to see from them. So you just really just try and dive in and have an idea of what you're going to expect, but knowing how multiple they are, whatever they did on third down against Oregon and Samford, you're probably going to see a completely new third down package from them for us, So it's just working on ourselves and being good. And I'm sorry, what was the first part? I think we gotta play smart football and efficient, and that's one thing that we haven't done the first 2 weeks. We've done some really good things offensively the first 2 games, but we've had way too many negative plays. We've had way too many drops. We've had way too many turnovers. When you talk about negative things on offense, we've had way too many of those the last 2 games. And then you could say the same thing defensively the last game with mental errors and missed tackles. So we've got to have a lot more winning reps, winning plays, if you will, than what we've had the last two weeks as well. And just have those winning plays and just try and stack one on top of another and see where we are at the end of the day.
Hey, Shane, you mentioned that you do tackling drills on Tuesday. Well, because you're so banged up and your depth issues, are you able to go as hard as business as usual? And also, how's Nick doing? I mean, after the game he had, the extensive snaps as a true freshman and his physical style of play, how's he bouncing back physically?
Yeah, good question on the first part. No, we have to be smart with as beat up as we are on defense. It wouldn't be very smart to go out there and just get too crazy today. So, for example, the one period, we did everything that we normally do on a Tuesday. It was the exact same Tuesday practice this morning that we had last week against Arkansas as far as how we structured it. But what we did is when we did the period that we normally do live tackling reps in, we did more plays today, but one less tackling play, if that makes sense. So normally we'd have 4 plays or really 8 in that period where we tackled to the ground. Today we had 6, but we did more plays where we call it thud, where it's full speed. We just don't take guys to the ground, but it's still a physical period. So yes, we got to be smart with our players, but I know how physical Georgia plays. We can't just sit here and say, okay, we're going to all of a sudden just turn it on Saturday and flip the switch and play physical. You got to practice that way, and you got to prepare that way. So we're doing that the best that we can. And Nick, I think, has been good. Nick's a smart guy, as he's shown the last 2 weeks. The moment's not too big for him. First game, home opener, a lot of distractions out there in the stadium. He wasn't the starter, but then he got thrown in there early in the game, played great. Well, last week was different for him because he knew going into the week he's going to be the starter, and he's going on the road. He's away from Columbia. I don't know if he's ever, I'm guessing he had. Last week may have been his first time he's ever flown on a plane. I don't know. But there was a lot of new last week, and he handled it great. The moment wasn't too big for him. Well, he's got another great challenge this week as well. But Nick prepares the right way and has fun playing and competing, and certainly really proud of him and the start that he's had so far.
Hey, Shane, hope you're well. I know DeCarrion Joyner's been banged up a little bit, but when he's healthy, what is his role in the offense, and what does he do for the team as a whole with that personality he's got?
He's a great leader, first and foremost. I love DeCarrion Joyner, and he's everything that's right, about Carolina football. And he's a hell of a football player, too. And he's really good on us for special teams and offense in multiple positions. It's not like we have forgotten what he did in the bowl game. He showed he can play quarterback in that bowl game at a high level. He wasn't healthy in that first game, and he was healthier last Saturday against Arkansas. So when he is healthy, he's a fantastic leader. He's a really good football player that's a valuable member of all of our special teams, and then a valuable member of our offense, whether it's wide receiver, whether it's quarterback, whatever. He's shown that he can do that, and we need to continue to find ways to keep him involved, have him involved.
What are your takeaways from how Jaheim was used in the first couple of games?
I think good. We tried to get the ball to him a lot of different ways against Georgia State, and we did. Handing the ball to him and throwing the ball to him and trying to get it to him in different ways, and did the same thing against Arkansas too. I think it was the next to last play of the game, or one of those plays. We ran deep balls down the field, and we're trying to get the ball to him on a deep ball down the field, and I think Spencer got sacked on that play or whatnot. But he's always a part of our plan. But we've got more players on offense, so there's going to be a game Saturday night where. Or there's going to be a Saturday where Jaheim catches 10 balls and Jalen Brooks catches 10 balls, and then I come in here on Tuesday and you guys are asking me why Juice Wells and Austin Stogner didn't get the ball more. And then there's going to be a Saturday where Marshawn Lloyd and Juju rush for 100 yards apiece, and then I'm going to come in here and y'all are going to want to know what happened to the passing game and why AB's not more involved along with Xavier Leggett. You know, it's a good problem to have. We got a bunch of really good players on offense, and we're trying to get them all involved. But at the end of the day, we're trying to do what gives us the best chance to be successful. And it's not like when we call a play, Spencer doesn't look at that wristband and read the play, and then in parentheses it says throw to Jaheim or throw to AB. I mean, we read it out, and if the play may go to Jaheim, the play may go to AB, it may go to Van, whoever. It's just kind of how the defense plays it. And don't get me wrong, there are plays too where we are trying to get the ball to certain people. We had a couple plays specifically for Josh Van last week that we put in, but you know we have options on every play, and that's a good thing to have. And that's one thing Georgia does a great job of. I think Stetson threw the ball to like 11 different receivers or something in the last game. We've got to continue to spread the ball around where we're not always going to just one guy, if that makes sense. All right, thank you all for coming out. Have a great week.